Hello everyone, this is Earth Archives. Do you know about consumerism? Is there a force that affects your consumption? Today we will learn about consumerism, how it poisons modern people, and use stories to illustrate ways to get rid of consumerism. Before the show starts, please help subscribe, like, and turn on the little bell. This will help the Earth Archives grow. The show starts. Prologue. The birth of a new world. In the quiet cobblestone streets of 17th century Europe, something remarkable was stirring. Amid the bustling markets and the clamour of trade, a subtle shift was taking place, one that would eventually reshape the very fabric of society. This was the dawn of consumerism, an era where the acquisition of goods began to transcend mere necessity, evolving into a cultural phenomenon that would define modern life. The roots of desire. Long before the glossy advertisements and online shopping sprees of today, the seeds of consumerism were planted in the fertile soil of the Industrial Revolution. The 18th and 19th centuries saw unprecedented advancements in manufacturing, leading to an abundance of goods that were once scarce or difficult to produce. Factories churned out textiles, furniture, and household items at a pace never before seen, making them more accessible to the masses. But it wasn't just the availability of goods that fueled the rise of consumerism. It was the changing mindset of society. People began to view possessions not just as tools for survival, but as symbols of status and identity. The humble home was no longer just a shelter. It was a canvas to display one's wealth and taste. Clothing, once purely functional, became a means of self-expression. The emergence of a new culture. As the 19th century gave way to the 20th, consumerism began to take on a life of its own. The early 1900s saw the rise of department stores, with their grand displays and endless aisles of products, all designed to entice and seduce the consumer. Shopping became an experience, a leisure activity that was not just about purchasing goods, but about the thrill of the hunt and the satisfaction of acquisition. Advertising, too, played a pivotal role in shaping consumer culture. The emergence of mass media, newspapers, radio, and eventually television allowed companies to reach a wider audience than ever before. Advertisers began to tap into the psychology of desire, crafting messages that promised happiness, success, and fulfillment through the purchase of their products. The purpose of consumerism. But why did consumerism emerge, and what was its ultimate purpose? On the surface, consumerism appears to be about satisfying individual desires and improving quality of life. However, a deeper examination reveals a more complex narrative. Consumerism serves a dual purpose. On one hand, it drives economic growth. In a capitalist society, consumption is the engine that powers the economy, creating demand for goods and services, and in turn generating jobs and wealth. The more people consume, the more the economy grows, leading to a cycle of production and consumption that sustains modern society. On the other hand, consumerism serves as a means of social control. By promoting the idea that happiness and success are tied to material possessions, consumerism encourages people to conform to certain norms and behaviors. It perpetuates the belief that self-worth is measured by what one owns, creating a constant desire for more. This desire keeps people working, spending, and striving, often at the expense of more meaningful pursuits. The manipulation of desire. As consumerism evolved, companies began to refine their techniques for influencing and controlling consumer behavior. Through the use of advertising, branding, and psychological tactics, they have perfected the art of creating desire. One of the most powerful tools in a company's arsenal is the creation of a perceived need. Advertisers are adept at identifying and exploiting insecurities, fears, and aspirations, convincing consumers that their products are the solution to their problems. Whether it's the promise of eternal youth through beauty products or the allure of social status through luxury goods, companies have mastered the art of making people feel like they need things they never knew they wanted. Branding, too, plays a crucial role in consumer control. Companies create identities for their brands that resonate with consumers on an emotional level. These brands become more than just products. They become symbols of a lifestyle, a community, or a set of values. By aligning themselves with a particular brand, consumers are not just buying a product, they are buying into an identity, a sense of belonging. The invisible chains. The control exerted by consumerism is subtle but pervasive. It operates under the guise of freedom of choice, offering consumers a seemingly endless array of options. But this freedom is an illusion. The choices available to consumers are often dictated by companies that control the market, and the desires that drive these choices are shaped by the very same companies through their marketing efforts. Moreover, consumerism fosters a cycle of dependency. The pursuit of material possessions often leads to debt, forcing individuals to work longer hours to pay off their loans and maintain their lifestyles. This in turn leaves less time for personal fulfillment and leisure, further entrenching individuals in the cycle of consumption. The impact on society. The effects of consumerism extend beyond the individual, influencing society as a whole. Consumerism promotes a culture of instant gratification, where the pursuit of short-term pleasure takes precedence over long-term well-being. This has led to a society that is increasingly focused on consumption and less on community, relationships, and personal growth. The environmental impact of consumerism is also significant. The relentless demand for goods drives overproduction, leading to the depletion of natural resources and the generation of vast amounts of waste. The throwaway culture that consumerism fosters has contributed to the global environmental crisis, with dire consequences for the planet and future generations. The resistance. Despite its pervasive influence, consumerism has not gone unchallenged. Throughout history, there have been movements and individuals who have sought to resist the pull of consumer culture. From the counterculture of the 1960s to the modern-day minimalist movement, there have been efforts to promote alternative ways of living that prioritize sustainability, simplicity, and personal fulfillment over material wealth. These movements advocate for a shift in values, encouraging people to find meaning and satisfaction in experiences, relationships, and personal growth rather than in the accumulation of possessions. They challenge the notion that more is better and promote the idea that true happiness comes from within, not from the things we own. The future of consumerism. As we move further into the 21st century, the future of consumerism is uncertain. The rise of digital technology and social media has given companies new ways to reach and influence consumers, making the control exerted by consumerism even more insidious. However, there is also growing awareness of the negative impacts of consumerism, leading to a shift in attitudes and behaviors. The COVID-19 pandemic, for example, has forced many people to reevaluate their priorities and reconsider their relationship with consumption. The economic downturn and the disruption of supply chains have highlighted the fragility of the consumer-driven economy and the need for more sustainable and resilient ways of living. In a world overflowing with goods, where the next big thing is always around the corner, there lies a quiet rebellion. It's not loud or flashy. It doesn't seek attention or praise. Instead, it's a subtle but powerful movement away from the clamor of consumerism. This is the story of those who have chosen a different path, one where life is measured not by what is owned, but by what is needed, where value is found in durability and purpose, not in trends or celebrity endorsements. The call of the siren. From the moment we wake, the world bombards us with messages. Buy this, upgrade that, don't miss out on the latest trend. Advertisements, discounts, and internet celebrities sing a siren song, luring us into the cycle of endless consumption. But what if we refused to listen? What if we tuned out the noise and focused instead on what truly matters? This is the story of Sarah, a young woman who, like many, was once caught in the whirlwind of consumer culture. Her days were filled with online shopping sprees, flash sales, and the constant pressure to keep up with the latest trends. But one day something shifted. She began to see the waste accumulating in her home, the clothes she never wore, the gadgets she never used. She realized that her life was filled with things, but not with meaning. The first step. Sarah's journey began with a simple decision, to only buy what she needed. It wasn't easy at first. The lure of discounts and the temptation of new releases were strong. But she started small, making conscious choices about her purchases. She asked herself questions. Do I really need this? Will it last? Can I make do with what I already have? The first thing she did was clear out her closet. She sorted through her clothes, keeping only those that were durable, versatile, and truly loved. The rest she donated or repurposed. She discovered that with fewer clothes, she actually had more to wear. Each piece became more valuable because it was chosen with care and intention. The power of durability. One of the core principles Sarah adopted was the importance of durability. She learned to seek out items that were built to last, whether it was clothing, furniture, or household goods. She invested in quality over quantity, understanding that a well-made item might cost more up front, but it would save money and resources in the long run. Sarah's approach to buying new things changed dramatically. She researched products thoroughly, reading reviews and looking for items made from sustainable materials. She began to appreciate craftsmanship and design, valuing the effort that went into creating something that would stand the test of time. Her home became a reflection of this philosophy, filled with items that were not only functional, but also beautiful in their simplicity. Rejecting the hype. As Sarah's mindset shifted, she found herself increasingly immune to the hype of advertisements and the recommendations of internet celebrities. She understood that these were not genuine endorsements, but carefully crafted messages designed to trigger her desire to buy more. She learned to recognize the tactics used by marketers to create a sense of urgency or scarcity, and she refused to be swayed. Instead of following trends, Sarah began to develop her own sense of style and preference. She focused on what she truly needed and what brought her joy, rather than what was popular or promoted. She found that by rejecting the pressure to conform, she was able to create a life that was more authentic and satisfying. The art of using every part. One of the most profound changes in Sarah's life was her commitment to using every part of what she owned. She became more mindful of waste, finding creative ways to extend the life of her belongings. Clothes were mended, furniture was refurbished, and leftovers were transformed into new meals. This approach not only saved money, but also brought a sense of accomplishment and pride. The beauty of simplicity. As Sarah continued on her journey, she found that her life was becoming simpler, but also richer. She was no longer weighed down by the constant pressure to buy, to upgrade, to keep up. Instead, she was free to focus on the things that truly mattered to her, her relationships, her passions, and her personal growth. The challenge of resistance. Living a life beyond consumerism is not without its challenges. Sarah faced moments of doubt, especially when surrounded by friends and family who were still caught in the consumer cycle. There were times when she felt out of step with the world around her, but she remained committed to her path. Sarah found strength in community, connecting with others who shared her values and beliefs. Together, they supported each other in their efforts to live more consciously and sustainably. They shared tips, resources, and encouragement, creating a network of like-minded individuals who were committed to resisting the pull of consumerism. The ripple effect. As Sarah's life changed, so did the lives of those around her. Her friends and family began to notice the peace and contentment she had found, and they started to ask questions. Slowly, they too began to reconsider their relationship with consumption. Sarah's journey became a source of inspiration, showing others that it was possible to live a rich and fulfilling life without succumbing to the pressures of consumer culture. A new way of living. The new way of living that Sarah embraced is grounded in the principles of mindfulness, sustainability, and intentionality. It is about making conscious choices that align with one's values and priorities, rather than being driven by external pressures. It is about finding joy and fulfillment in what one already has, rather than constantly seeking more. The future beyond consumerism. As Sarah's journey continues, she remains committed to living light, free from the chains of consumerism. She knows that the path she has chosen is not always easy, but it is one that brings true satisfaction and peace. She has learned that by refusing to be controlled by the forces of consumer culture, she has gained a greater sense of freedom and autonomy. The art of living light. The art of living light is not about deprivation or austerity. It is about finding balance and harmony in a world that often encourages excess. It is about recognizing the true value of what we own and using it to its fullest potential. It is about making choices that are guided by intention rather than impulse, by needs rather than wants.